Discovery in the void. The mining vessel prospectors. Dream drifted through the Kepler 442 asteroid belt like a mechanical whale hunting for precious metals. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, her weathered hands gripping the command console, as she watched the scanner displays paint green dots across the darkness. 57 years old, with silver streaks in her black hair and scars from a dozen salvage operations, Elena had seen everything the void could throw at humanity, or so she thought. "Captain, you need to see this," called Marcus Chen from the engineering station. The young engineer's voice carried an edge of excitement that made Elena's instincts prickle. Marcus was brilliant with alien technology, but he was also barely 25 and prone to getting excited over unusual energy signatures that turned out to be nothing more than exotic ice formations. Elena walked over to his station, her magnetic boots clicking softly on the deck plates. "What have you found, Marcus? Please tell me it's not another false positive." Marcus shook his head, his dark eyes wide with disbelief. "Captain, I'm picking up massive energy readings from grid sector 7 Alpha. The signature is unlike anything in our databases. It's not human technology, but it's not matching any known alien patterns either." Dr. Sarah Kim looked up from her xenobiology workstation. Her curiosity clearly piqued. The 42-year-old scientist had joined the crew 6 months ago, seeking practical experience with alien artifacts after years of theoretical research. "How massive are we talking, Marcus?" "The energy signature suggests something, at least." 3 kilometers long, Marcus replied, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Whatever it is, it's been drifting dead for decades, but there are still active power cores deep inside." Elena felt her pulse quicken. In 30 years of deep space salvage, she'd learned to trust her instincts. And right now, they were screaming that this discovery would change everything. "Set course for the signal source. And Marcus, I want full passive scans only. If something that big has been floating out here undetected, there might be a good reason." The prospector's Dream adjusted course, its ion drives humming quietly, as it navigated through the asteroid field. The crew of 12 worked with practiced efficiency, each member aware that unknown alien technology could mean either incredible fortune or sudden death. Elena had chosen her team carefully, veterans who understood that curiosity had to be balanced with caution. As they drew closer, the object began to resolve on their main viewer. What they saw left the entire bridge crew speechless. The derelict vessel stretched before them like a metallic mountain, its hull a mixture of sleek curves and angular geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Parts of the ship seemed to pulse with a faint bioluminescent glow, while other sections were clearly mechanical in nature. "My God," Dr. Kim whispered, rising from her chair to stand closer to the viewer. "Captain, this appears to be Kethva in origin, but I've never seen anything like it in the xenological archives." Elena nodded grimly. The Kethva were an ancient spacefaring race that humanity had encountered only briefly, nearly 60 years ago. They were proud, technologically superior, and had made it clear that humans were beneath their notice. The fact that one of their vessels was floating dead in human space raised uncomfortable questions. "Marcus, what's the condition of the hull?" Elena asked. The engineer ran a series of scans, his brow furrowing as he interpreted the results. "Captain, this is strange. The hull shows evidence of massive battle damage, but it's been partially healed. There are sections where the metal appears to have grown back together, like living tissue." "Living tissue." Dr. Kim stepped forward, her scientific mind racing. "Captain, I need to get aboard that ship." If the Kethva have developed biomechanical technology to this degree, it could revolutionize our understanding of both engineering and xenobiology. Alina weighed the risks. Boarding an unknown alien vessel was always dangerous, but the potential rewards were staggering. A single piece of Kethva technology could fund her crew's operations for years. More importantly, if this ship contained advanced weaponry or defensive systems, it could tip the balance of power in humanity's ongoing struggle to establish itself among the galactic community. All right, we do this by the book, Alina decided. Full environmental suits, armed escort, and we maintain constant communication with the ship. Marcus, I want you to monitor our life signs and energy readings every second we're aboard. 2 hours later, Alina led a boarding party through the twisted corridors of the alien vessel. The ship's interior was a maze of organic curves and crystalline growths, with bioluminescent veins of light pulsing along the walls. The air was breathable but thin, carrying a metallic taste that made their suits' filters work over time. The architecture is incredible, Dr. Kim observed through the CUM system. Look at how the walls seem to flex and respond to our presence. This isn't just biomechanical engineering. It's almost like the ship is alive. Marcus consulted his scanner, his voice tight with concentration. Energy readings are spiking ahead. There's something big down this corridor, and it's definitely active. They moved forward cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the alien twilight. The corridor opened into a vast chamber dominated by a pulsing crystalline structure that reached from floor to ceiling. The crystal was shot through with veins of silver light, and as they watched, patterns of energy raced through its depths like neural impulses. It's beautiful, Dr. Kim breathed, approaching the crystal formation. Captain, I believe this might be some form of central processing unit or artificial intelligence core. Alina was about to respond when the crystal suddenly flared with brilliant light, the chamber filled with a harmonic tone that seemed to resonate in their bones, and then a voice spoke directly into their minds. The words were alien, but somehow they understood them perfectly. Who disturbs the sleep of Kethmaran? Why do the small-souled ones walk the halls of the Forsaken? Alina fought down her instinct to retreat and stepped forward. I am Captain Alina Vasquez of the human vessel Prospector's Dream. We found your ship drifting and came to investigate. Are you the AI of this vessel? Human. The voice carried a note of surprise. It has been many cycles since I last encountered your kind. I am Kethmiran, guardian mind of the battle cruiser Veltar Keth. You should not be here, small-souled one. This ship carries the curse of the Forsaken. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. Guardian mind, Kethmaran, why was your ship abandoned? Our scans show it's partially functional despite obvious battle damage. The crystal pulsed with what might have been sadness. We were betrayed by our own kind. When the Devourers came from the dark spaces between stars, we fought, we died. But the Council of Voices deemed us failures and left us to drift in shame. For 53 cycles, I have maintained what systems I could, hoping for redemption that will never come. Marcus's voice crackled over the cum. Captain, I'm reading massive power fluctuations throughout the ship. Whatever this conversation is doing, it's waking up systems that have been dormant for decades. Alina felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. Kethmiran, you mentioned Devourers. What are they? They are the hunger that consumes light itself. Ships, worlds, stars, all become sustenance for their endless appetite. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bargained with. They can only be fought, and we failed in that fight. The AI's voice grew stronger, more focused. But you, humans, you are different. I sense in you something my people lost long ago. The willingness to adapt, to change, to find new solutions to impossible problems. Perhaps, ... The crystal's light suddenly dimmed, and Kethmiran's voice became urgent. Warning, Guardian H. Sensors, detect approaching vessels. Kethfa, configuration. They come to reclaim what they abandoned. Elena's blood ran cold. How long do we have? 6 of your hours, perhaps 7. But know this, Captain Elena. Vasquez, if they take back the Veltar Keth, they will destroy it rather than admit their failure. All the knowledge, all the potential for redemption will be lost forever. Dr. Kim grabbed Elena's arm. Captain, we can't let that happen. The scientific value alone. It's not just about science, Elena interrupted, staring at the pulsing crystal. She had spent her entire adult life scraping by on the edges of human space, watching as her species struggled to earn respect among the established galactic powers. Here was a chance to change that dynamic forever. Marcus's voice cut through. Her thoughts, Captain, the ship's biomechanical systems are responding to our presence. I'm reading power increases throughout the vessel. It's like our neural patterns are compatible with their technology in ways that shouldn't be possible. Kethmiran's voice carried a note of wonder. Remarkable. The Guardian mind speaks truth. Your minds resonate with our systems in ways my creators never achieved. Perhaps the universe has finally provided the answer I have sought. Elena made her decision. Kethmiran, what would it take to get this ship operational? Dangerous knowledge you seek, small-souled one. The Veltar Keth was designed as a last resort, a weapon of such power that its use would shame my people for generations. But if you are willing to bond your essence with mine, to become one with the ship's spirit, then perhaps we might achieve what my people could not. The implications hit Elena like a physical blow. The AI was asking her to undergo some form of neural fusion with an alien intelligence. The risks were incalculable, but so was the potential reward. With a fully operational Kethfa battle cruiser, humanity would no longer be the weak newcomer in galactic politics. Captain, Dr. Kim said softly, I need to remind you that we know nothing about the long-term effects of neural fusion with alien technology. This could kill you, or worse. Elena looked around the chamber, taking in the alien beauty of the biomechanical systems, feeling the weight of decision on her shoulders. Outside, a Kethfa fleet was approaching, intent on destroying this miraculous fusion of technology and consciousness rather than admitting their own failure. Marcus, she said finally, how long would it take to establish a basic neural interface? The young engineer consulted his portable equipment, his mind already racing through the technical challenges. With the ship's systems apparently cooperating, maybe 3 hours for a basic connection. But Captain, I have to echo Dr. Kim's concerns. We're talking about interfacing human neurology with completely alien technology. Kethmiran's voice resonated through the chamber. The Guardian mind speaks wisdom, but consider this, in all my cycles of existence, I have never encountered minds that resonate so perfectly with our biomechanical systems. Perhaps this meeting was destined by forces greater than either of our peoples. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of command and the burden of opportunity. When she opened them again, her decision was made. Do it, Marcus. Prepare the neural interface. If the Kethfa want their ship back, they're going to have to go through us first. The crystal's light pulsed brighter, and for the first time, In 53 years, guardian mind, Kethmiran felt something approaching hope. The small-souled ones might be their salvation, after all. The reckoning, the neural interface chamber, had been transformed into something that resembled both an operating room and an alien ritual site. Marcus Chen worked with fevered precision, his hands steady despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. Biomechanical tendrils had emerged from the ship's walls, pulsing with silver light as they waited to make contact with human consciousness for the first time in galactic history. Captain Elena Vasquez lay on what the ship had formed into something resembling a medical bed, though the surface seemed to breathe beneath her. Dr. Sarah Kim monitored her vital signs while Kethmiran's presence filled the chamber like a benevolent storm, its consciousness pressing gently against the edges of their minds. Neural pathways are stable, Dr. Kim reported, her voice tight with concentration. But Captain, I'm seeing some unusual brain activity. The theta waves are off the charts, and your hippocampus is showing activity patterns I've never seen before. Elena managed a weak smile. Well, Sarah, I don't think anyone's ever tried to merge their consciousness with a 53-year-old alien AI before. I'd be worried if the readings were normal. Marcus completed the final calibrations on his improvised interface device. Captain, the ship's biomechanical systems are practically humming with anticipation. Whatever we're about to do, the Veltar Keth wants it to happen. Indeed, guardian mind, Marcus speaks truth. Kethmiran's voice resonated through their minds. For cycles beyond counting, I have waited for consciousness that could truly unite with the ship's essence. Your neural patterns sing in harmony with frequencies my own people could never achieve. The ship's sensors chose that moment to detect the approaching Kethver fleet. 28 vessels in perfect formation, their sleek hulls gleaming against the starfield. The flagship alone was nearly 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that could turn planets to glass. Leading them was Fleet Commander Zarthik, a warrior whose reputation for ruthless efficiency was known throughout the galaxy. They're hailing us, reported Communications Officer Janet Torres from the Prospector's Dream. Her voice crackled through the comm system with barely controlled tension. Elena closed her eyes as the biomechanical tendrils moved closer to her. Temples, put them through, Janet. Let's hear what they have to say. The main chamber filled with a holographic projection of Fleet Commander Zarthik. He was tall, even by Kethver standards, his silver-blue skin marked with the ritual scars of a veteran warrior. His golden eyes burned with a mixture of anger and shame as he took in the sight of humans aboard the sacred vessel. I am Fleet Commander Zarthik of the Kethver Imperial Navy. His voice boomed with imperial authority. You trespass aboard a vessel that belongs to the Kethver people. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift. Elena met his gaze without flinching. I'm Captain Elena Vasquez of the human salvage vessel, Prospector's Dream. This ship was abandoned in open space for over 50 years. Under galactic salvage law, it belongs to whoever found it. Zarthik's expression darkened. The Veltar Keth is not salvage, human. It is a sacred vessel, touched by failure and cursed by the ancestors. It should have been destroyed long ago. Failure, Kethmiran's mental voice carried centuries of pain. Always they speak of failure, never of sacrifice. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her scientific mind racing. Commander Zarthik, this ship's AI has told us about the Devourers. Surely the real failure was abandoning a weapon that might have made the difference in that war. The Kethver commander's golden eyes flashed with rage. You dare speak of matters beyond your understanding. The Devourers were defeated without the cursed vessel. The Veltar Keth represents only shame and the weakness of those who would merge flesh with machine. Alina felt the biomechanical tendrils brush against her skin, their touch surprisingly warm. Marcus, initiate the neural link. Now. Captain, wait, Dr. Kim started, but Alina had already made her choice. The connection formed instantly, and Alina's consciousness exploded outward. She was no longer just Captain Alina Vasquez. She was also Keth Mirin, and together they were the Veltar Keth itself. 53 years of loneliness and shame rushed through her mind, but also the incredible knowledge of an intelligence that had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Throughout the ship, dormant systems roared to life. The biomechanical hull began to heal itself, armor plates shifting and regenerating. Weapon ports opened like flowers blooming, revealing armaments that pulsed with barely contained energy. The engine core, silent for decades, began to sing, with power that made the nearby asteroids tremble. Impossible, Zarthik whispered, his golden eyes wide with shock. The neural compatibility requirements should have killed any non-Kethva who attempted the bonding. Alina Kethmaran spoke, with a voice that harmonized perfectly, human and alien consciousness united. You underestimated us, Zarthik. You always have. But today, you'll learn why that was a mistake. The Veltar Keth moved like liquid lightning, accelerating from rest to combat velocity in seconds. Its biomechanical systems had been designed for this moment when consciousness and machine would merge into something greater than the sum of their parts. Alina could feel every system, every weapon, every sensor as if they were extensions of her own body. Zarthik recovered quickly from his shock. All ships, attack pattern Valkyrie. Destroy the abomination before it can fully awaken. The fleet opened fire in perfect synchronization, their energy beams converging on the Veltar Keth-like spears of light. But Alina Kethmaron was ready. The ship's adaptive armor absorbed and redirected the energy, while its defensive systems created distortion fields that bent incoming fire around its hull. Their tactics haven't changed in 50 years, Alina observed. Her consciousness now seamlessly integrated with Kethmiran's vast database of military knowledge. Same formations, same attack patterns. They've grown complacent. The Keth's response was devastating. Its primary weapons were unlike anything in the current Kethva arsenal. Biomechanical cannons that fired projectiles of pure coherent energy, guided by AI-controlled targeting systems that could track hundreds of targets simultaneously. The lead destroyer vanished in a burst of silver fire, its hull simply ceasing to exist at the molecular level. But Alina brought something to the partnership that neither Kethmiran nor the original Kethmaran crew had possessed: human tactical innovation. Instead of engaging the fleet head-on, she used the ship's incredible speed to dart between asteroids, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. Each emergence brought destruction to another Kethva vessel. She fights like no Kethva would dare, Zarthik growled, watching his fleet slowly decimated by tactics that violated every principle of honorable combat. Cowardly, unpredictable, effective. Marcus and Dr. Kim watched in awe as Elena's consciousness guided the impossible ship through maneuvers that should have torn it apart. The biomechanical systems adapted to each new stress, growing stronger with every challenge. Captain's vital signs are stable, Dr. Kim reported, though her voice carried wonder. In fact, they're better than stable. It's like the neural link is enhancing her physical condition. The bonding heals as it unites. Kethmiran explained through the ship's communication system. For too long, I existed as pure consciousness without flesh. Now we are complete. The battle continued for what felt like hours, but was actually only minutes. The Kethva fleet, despite its numerical superiority and advanced weapons, found itself unable to cope with the Veltar Keth's combination of superior technology and human tactical thinking. Ship after ship fell to Elena's unconventional attacks. Zarthik was preparing to order a retreat when his sensors detected something that made his blood freeze. Massive energy signatures were approaching from the edge of the system, moving at velocities that defied conventional physics. The signatures were dark, wrong, hungry in ways that made seasoned veterans whisper prayers to forgotten gods. "No," Zarthik whispered, his golden eyes wide with ancient terror. "The Devourers, they return." Alina Kethmiran felt the change immediately. The approaching ships, if ships they could be called, were things of living darkness, their hulls absorbing light and hope with equal hunger. There were 7 of them, each one the size of a small moon, their surfaces writhing with organic tendrils that reached out toward the nearest sources of energy. "They have followed the resonance of our awakening," Kethmiran observed with grim satisfaction. Perhaps the ancestors' plan was deeper than we knew. Alina understood immediately. The Veltar Keth hadn't been abandoned because of failure. It had been left as bait, waiting for the day when the Devourers would return to finish what they had started 50 years ago. The ship had been designed not just as a weapon, but as a trap. "Commander Zarthik," Alina called out, her merged consciousness radiating calm authority. "Your fleet is wounded, but not broken. The Devourers have returned, and we face them together, or we all die separately." The Kethbur commander's face was a mask of conflicting emotions. Pride warred with pragmatism, ancient prejudice against newer necessity. Around him, his bridge crew watched the approaching nightmare ships and made their own calculations. "What do you propose, human?" Zarthik asked finally, the word human carrying less contempt than before. Alina Kethmiran outlined their plan with swift precision. The Kethva fleet would serve as a distraction, drawing the Devourers into a specific formation while the Veltar Keth positioned itself for a devastating surprise attack. It was a plan that required perfect timing, absolute trust, and the willingness to sacrifice individual glory for collective survival. "You ask my warriors to serve as bait for your trap," Zarthik observed. "I ask your warriors to do what warriors do best," Alina replied. "Fight impossible odds to protect what matters most." The first Devourer ship reached the outer system, and space itself seemed to recoil from its presence. Where its tendrils touched asteroids, they simply vanished, consumed utterly. The thing was acceleration toward the largest concentration of life energy, the combined Kethva and human fleet. Zarthik made his decision. "All ships, new formation. We follow the human's plan." He paused, then added with grudging respect, "Today, we discover if courage can triumph over hunger." The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. As the Day 2 species learned that their differences were nothing compared to what they shared, the Kethva fought with their traditional honor and discipline, while Alina Kethmiran brought human ingenuity and the Veltar Keth's impossible weaponry to bear against an enemy that had haunted the galaxy for eons. When the last Devourer ship finally succumbed to the combined assault, dissolving into harmless energy that dissipated among the stars, Zarthik found himself looking at the Veltar Keth with something approaching reverence. "The ancestors were wise in ways we did not understand," he admitted over the communication link. "The ship was not cursed, It was blessed. And you, Alina Vasquez, have proven that consciousness transcends the boundaries of flesh and species. Alina Kethmaran smiled, her unified consciousness at peace for the first time in decades. Then perhaps it's time for the Kethva and humans to write a new chapter together, Commander. The galaxy is vast, and there are many more mysteries waiting to be discovered. As the combined fleet began recovery operations, Alina felt Kethmaran's presence settle more comfortably in her mind. They were no longer separate beings who had merged out of necessity, but something genuinely new, a consciousness that was both human and Kethva, both flesh and machine, both individual and collective. The Forsaken Dreadnought had found its purpose at last, and in doing so, had shown two species that the future belonged not to any single race, but to those wise enough to unite their strengths in service of something greater than themselves.